Gatorade pre-workout.
Yes.
Okay.
We're gonna do like a Jaeger bomb.
Okay.
And drop the pre-workout.
Wait, I gotta see. It's... Okay, we should be fine.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not gonna fuck with it. It's like.
Let's grab a seat.
Yeah. Do we need paper towel just in case?
I'm not gonna make a mess.
Okay, I don't want to make a mess. What? Are we just gonna leave it if it happens?
I'll grab it.
Okay.
Hello? We're getting ready to start recording. What do you need?
Testing.
You don't have to be super quiet. Yeah, I mean, just don't like jam around.
No, even if she did that, it won't pick it up really.
All right,
Like,
you'll be fine.
no.
Don't worry.
Yeah,
Just
don't even worry about it.
All right.
Yeah, don't make us come up there.
Paper towel just in case.
Yeah.
Shit gets nasty. All right, you ready? Hold on, I'm gonna put this over
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah.
Let me get my headphones on.
It kind of
There's a lot going on. There's a lot.
is there.
Well, no.
Oh,
It's
okay.
It's not gonna kill you.
Well, I don't expect it to.
Okay.
So
Good thing.
Okay.
So you're gonna
Drop this in.
You're gonna drop it in from a low height so we don't splash.
Yeah.
You're gonna drop it in.
Yeah.
And then you're just gonna shoot it.
Okay. Ready?
Ready?
All right.
And then I made a mess. You didn't even get it all. What's wrong?
Hey, you didn't even get it all. Are you serious? Are you fucking kidding me? Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah. I was going for a clank, but I'll just go fuck myself. So
That was the message.
I'm sorry. Can I have a paper towel for my face?
You guys have such red lips on camera.
I know.
We consume a lot of Kool-Aid.
We did.
All right.
So what was it?
It was so the people that make the energy drink that you tried, that's Gabby's, it's the same company. That's just real energy. That's real pre-workout. Not the like Gabby's is like a fat burner.
Oh, okay.
But that's like an actual pre-workout.
Oh,
and
so we might be amped.
Well, I did like 2/3 of a scoop. I didn't do a whole scoop.
Okay.
But you're supposed to do it in like 12 to 16 ounces of water, not
Yeah.
2. So I figured the Gatorade will balance it out, and then we're good. I feel better already.
Yeah.
It'll be good. You don't want to be low energy.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we definitely won't be low energy with this. I was gonna go take a sip of this. I don't think I should.
Does that have shit in it too?
That's pre-workout too.
You're
That's
fucked.
the one you gave me earlier.
Do you want?
No, I'm good. I'm
right.
good. I'll be okay.
All right.
Seriously.
That's what they all say.
I'll be good.
All right. All right. Whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
All right. So, welcome back. Here
Yeah.
we go.
Podcast number 2.
We're on fire
Dude, we're killing it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're on pace to like
to do like
to get a third one or something.
We're 2/3 of the way there.
Yeah, we
All
made
right.
it.
So obviously we're gonna start the podcast. I've kept you in the dark, but
Yes.
I played the tournament at Mott this weekend,
Yes.
and there were some extracurricular shenanigans, non-tournament specific, take place, and it's a situation that I've never been a part of. So it was very interesting. So basically, there's a Vehicle City Open at Mott Park on Saturday and Sunday. So Sunday was like the pro day, and there were other divisions and stuff. I don't know. I really don't pay attention, but
Yeah.
definitely pros played, and then other
Yes.
people played as well. So while we were there, there's if you're not familiar with Mott Park, it weaves around the Flint River.
Mm-hmm.
So as we were playing, like water is a factor. Like
Yeah.
it's not like a course that has water that like you hear of a guy every once in a while that throws a disc in there and
No.
you're like, oh man, you really fucking shanked that.
Yeah.
It's like a legitimate factor on the course.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've lost 2 discs there in the water.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a bunch of like sketchy rough. There's one hole that like the rough is super sketchy, which I got into, but whatever.
Yeah.
I found where the discs hide, which was great. I didn't find my own, but I literally got into this circle and there were just like discs everywhere, and I was like, oh, this is where it goes.
Yeah.
But anyways, so the water is a factor. People do throw discs in there, and it happens. So there's one guy standing on the bridge throughout the tournament. There's
Okay.
another guy like standing on the side, kind of like whatever, by the river throughout the tournament. Tournament had a whole bunch of spotters. Very well run event. Everything was clearly marked. There's a lot of like support staff out there in terms of spotters. Like some holes have like 2-3 spotters at it because there's like shit to the right, water to the left, all this other stuff. So the other people that were out there, the one guy on the bridge, I thought maybe didn't have something to do with the event, but he was like he was helpful. Like Skylar at one point like turned a drive over on this like shot where you throw like 400 feet over to the water, and like he ripped it to the right. It went through the tree, but it actually made it across. And the guy's like, "No, dude, you made it across. It wasn't in the water," because we all thought it was.
Yeah.
So he was like pointing out discs and just kind of there observing. I don't know if he was like just like, "Wow, this is really random that there's all these people out here." But the other guy, there was another guy out there that was like kind of by the water, and he had on like waders and stuff, and like people would throw, and you're kind of standing there. So during the tournament, you only have, you know, a couple minutes to get your disc, whatever, and it goes in the river. That river specifically, the current's pretty strong, and the water is not clear. So even like I threw in the water second round, I could see my disc. It was like 8 feet away from me. But even for me to get it with my retriever, it took me like almost the whole 2 minutes because the current's so strong, and then like there's all kinds of stuff in there and whatever. And so trying to get out was kind of a pain in the ass. And mine was literally like just into it, hit the shore and then cut a little bit and rolled just into the water. So there was a guy out there though that was like watching, and then like your disc would go in the water, and then when you're going to the next hole, he would go in and get the disc and all this other stuff. So when the tournament was over, a guy on my card, I was on Chase card, a guy on my card goes over to get his disc back. And the guy literally was like, "No." And he's like, "I don't understand."
Wait, so the guy had his disc,
He had his disc.
Yeah.
For sure had his disc.
Yeah.
And he goes over and he's like, "Hey, you know, like I threw my disc in the water. I saw you going after it. I had to play my round, and you have it. I want it back." And the guy's like, "No. It doesn't clearly have like your name on it or whatever he told him, but no, you can't have it back."
Yeah.
So then he came back up, and I was like, "Well, I don't know." I was like, "I guess I would tell Paul, the TD, you know, maybe he like whatever."
Paul Grosso was running this?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, and he did a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
Paul.
Yeah, he always does a great job. Super personable guy.
Yeah.
So we went up there, and he's trying to figure out scores and payouts and everything else. And you got like 8 full-grown men being like, "Hey, man, can you talk to that guy about getting our frisbees back?" And Paul was very much just like, "Yeah, or you could do it."
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean,
why do I got
right.
to?
I'm
Yeah.
like, you know, like he's not going to listen to me any more than he's going to listen to you. And I'm trying to do payouts and everything else. And then everybody was like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense."
Okay.
So we'll go. So Skylar's like, "Well, I'll go over there and get my disc back." And I'm just thinking like, well, I know Skylar's going to get his disc back. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Skylar told me during the round that he used to squat like 500 pounds. And I was like, "Yeah, I can see that."
Yeah.
I did 220 at
Wait,
one
that's
point.
it?
I did 220 at one point. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
But anyways, we've all got accomplishments.
Yeah.
So, you know, Skylar goes over there, and like a handful of like dudes, you know, kind of go scraggling with him and go over to talk to the guy. So they go over to talk to the guy. I didn't go. Right. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I didn't throw a disc in the water, and I was calling Gabby and whatever. So I'm sitting on my cart. Plus I was kind of racked up by the end of the day. And I'm chilling. So they come back. Everybody comes back except for Skylar. And I was like, uh-oh. Some shit went down.
Oh,
like,
shit.
You know, oh, no.
Yeah.
But turns out, like, they were like, "Give us our disc back." He's like, "No." He was in the water when they went over there. Like, standing in the water, he had, like, a bag with, like, all the discs in it and shit. And so Skylar's like, "That's my disc. You're going to give me my disc back, whatever." So the guy pulled the disc out of the bag and was like, "This is your disc? Fine, you can have it back." And then threw it in the water. But it floated. Like, it didn't, like, sink down into the water. Ever. So Skylar just went in the water and grabbed his disc.
Yeah.
And then, like, came out of the water, came back up to the thing to get, he got second. So he came back to, like, grab his cash, got his disc, and was just kind of like, you know, that guy's kind of a bitch, but I got my disc back, whatever.
Yeah.
And everybody else was like, "No, I still didn't get my disc back."
Yeah.
And so it was like really awkward. So people were complaining about it, whatever. So I got, you know, like they did the payouts and all that stuff. And I sat up there for a minute, and then I went to go put my stuff in my truck and get ready to go. So the guy had gotten out of the water with his waders on and the bag of discs and go over to his truck. Well, at Mott, there's one way out of the parking lot.
Yeah.
So he goes over to his truck. I don't know what he was thinking, but like as he goes over to his truck, it soon became a swarm organization of disc golfers. Like
I can
around his truck.
imagine.
So there's a video online today that I saw of like JB, like in front of his truck, because they had gone over, yelled at him, confronted him. He just got in his truck, rolled up the windows, and was going to leave. So then Jay got in front of his truck and was trying to stop him. So the guy just like was driving into Jay.
Yeah,
So
I saw.
Yeah, so Jay's trying to like push on the hood of the truck, and the guy's like kind of like running into him, and then other people were like trying to get in front, and he was just like running into people, and like whatever it is. So then like there were cars coming, so he like swerved around those cars trying to get out, and then like kind of gassed it to get out of the park. Well, by that point, the people up by the Tournament Central at that building, like right there by the gate, they just locked the gate.
Really?
So they put a chain around the gate and locked it.
So he couldn't get out.
No.
Yeah.
So they were like, oh, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
So then he's sitting there. So now you have like the big swarm, like on his truck, people yelling at him and like, give us our fucking discs and whatever. And he couldn't get out. So then he backed his truck up awkwardly and like backed up till he was like basically bumper to bumper with the one car that was kind of a little bit farther back from the gate. So he's probably 150 yards from the gate and just sitting there with the windows up. So people just keep going over and yelling at him. And they called the police
Yeah.
to like come and, you know, mediate the situation and whatever. Because, you know, the park is closed for the day, for the event. Grasso got the park closed. So you should not be in the park unless you're part of the event.
Right.
So the fact that you're there, one, you're not even supposed to be there. But two, the fact that you're like grabbing discs that people can't get to when they don't have the time to go get them themselves. And then you're like, I'm not giving it back. It's my property because you walked away from it. And
Yeah.
it seemed very clear that like he was just stealing people's discs. Like he didn't comprehend that. And he got the idea of like, well, if you leave a disc at a course, it's then up for grabs. But it's not, it's a tournament. Like they didn't leave the course. They just left their disc to go finish a round because they have a time limit on how long they can try to get their disc.
Right.
And he was like,
or
well,
find it or whatever.
whatever
Yeah.
it is. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So then he's thinking like, well, no, then they're up for grabs. Like these are anybody's discs, you know?
Yeah.
And was just like not willing to give them back. So Flint turns out actually has real problems. And like, you know, like people like actually need police assistance, and mediating a Frisbee debacle is low on the priority list.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a minute. So they had him blocked in. I sat in my truck waiting for it in air conditioning because I was kind of hot for like 40 minutes. And eventually he realized like he was trapped there. He didn't have anywhere to go, whatever. So after about 30 minutes, he started giving like some people their discs back. Like some people were like at the side of the truck yelling at him and talking to him and whatever. And he'd eventually like reach out. Like I'd see like every once in a while, like, you know, him like slide a Frisbee out of like the crack of his window to like some dude. And then the dude would like, you know, take his Frisbee and walk away. And
Some like weird cat feeder.
yeah. Like
You
he'd just
get
like
one.
feed it out of the top,
Yeah.
like a mail slot.
Yeah.
And so he'd like randomly like give some people their Frisbees back, but not all of them. And like, instead of just turning over the bag to the tournament, being
Yeah.
like, here, you guys sort this out.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, you're already doing it in the first. Like, what's?
Yeah.
Why
I don't,
just one at a time?
I don't know. I
What
don't
the
know.
shit?
So I was just thinking like, you know, like, dude, you're really just costing me my Sunday evening. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I had plans with Gabby when I got home, and I'm just like, dude, I'm literally, you're just time vampiring me now because you're an asshole. And like,
Yeah.
this is what, like, I don't even know what the payoff is. Like I don't know if you got this
Yeah,
idea.
like why did he think that he was gonna come and just like steal a bunch of discs?
then
for the turn and then
steal
sell
them on the internet. I don't know.
Yeah.
But even like
how
people-
many do you think he had?
I think he had like 20, maybe 20 discs.
Yeah.
But then people had like offered to give him some money to get their disc back, and he was like, no, I don't want it. So I think he was really thinking like that he was going to turn around and get like
Huge profit.
top dollar for him or whatever.
No.
Like these are tournament discs. These must be
No.
nice.
Yeah, and that's stupid too because you think if that was the case, $5.
Right.
Like I went into the water or whatever.
Right.
And which I think is absolutely.
100%.
I get my disc back.
Flint River.
You went into the water.
$1 million.
Here you go.
Here you go. Here's
Yeah.
$5. We're set.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No
totally.
problem. No, not the case. Like that wasn't it. So so eventually this woman in a Yukon or a Tahoe or whatever just like drove over a parking block.
Mm-hmm.
It pushed the parking block out of the way a little bit, and then she just drove up this grass hill.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't see her get stuck. I didn't see her anymore. And then I saw another car go up that way, and that car also, like I never saw them like roll backwards down the hill or whatever.
Yeah.
So after like the 10th car did that, finally I was like, I had been stuck there after the tournament like a good 50 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm out of here. So I just like went up the plausible deniability. I
Yeah.
may have just driven up the side of this grass hill and gotten out, got back on the road, and then driven home.
Yeah.
But I guess eventually after a long enough period of time, because a lot of people, I guess, went out that way, that eventually like they, just because of the amount of time, they just let him go.
Really?
They just were like, they got
Fuck
all his
this.
information. They got, you know what I mean? There's like pictures and videos and everything on Facebook of him, his truck, everything else. And then somebody was going to take it and like actually complain to the police and like actually do a complaint for like, you know,
Yeah.
whatever it would be, some kind of theft.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, they let him out. And then like 10 minutes later, like the police showed up. So they gave her a Frisbee.
Yeah.
They gave her like a tournament.
Yeah, I
disc.
saw the picture. I was
Yeah.
like, I don't understand like what just happened.
It's an outreach program. You
Yeah.
know, take disc golf to cops.
What the
And they're just
shit?
gonna- so, but anyways, So the cop came and she was really like, nice and obliging and whatever. But at that point, I don't know what they're going to do. But it was the craziest, like, not round related disc golf thing that ever happened to me at a tournament.
Yeah.
And very much like for me as a person, I've always like held the idea that when I'm driving somewhere, and this is my inner workings, whatever, but when I'm driving somewhere and then all of a sudden I'm like stopped in traffic and I get delayed for like an hour because you were texting and you like rear-ended the car in front of you, and now we have to wait for the police to come, and now we have to wait for like traffic to be diverted and all that stuff. I don't want you to go to jail, but I think like everyone who is inconvenienced by your stupidity should be allowed to punch you in the stomach.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so like,
Yeah.
all right, you're like there. I was like, stuck
Yeah.
in the traffic. And like one of the cops
Yeah.
like kind of has their arms behind him and you're like, boom. Right? Like you made me late to like maybe people have to go to the bathroom. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. In traffic, I'm always thinking like,
Yeah, like something of actual urgency, not like I
Right.
need to respond to like this thought or something.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. You could be like missing your kid's soccer game. I mean, whatever it is that's going on. And now
Yeah.
like my entire system because you're texting and driving or whatever it is. So I was thinking that very much with this. Like, you came up with this really shitty scheme to like steal frisbees from people that are, and like, and I was
did you not know that there's no money in this game?
Yeah.
Like, what the shit? Like,
Yeah.
like
No,
there's not.
He's the one
Yeah.
that's going to figure it out.
Yeah.
But no, so I was very much like, we should all like, we don't even have to wait for the cops to get here. Like, you just, for the hour that I lost because you're a dumbass, I'll give you a frisbee
Yeah.
if you just let me punch you in the stomach. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, whatever.
Oh, that's worth it.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
Hands down.
Oh, yeah.
I've got something in my car I never throw. It'd be
Yeah.
well worth it, Like,
Yeah.
that-
Actually, I'll let you have this disc if I
Yeah.
can drive it into you.
Yeah.
There we go.
Champion
Perfect.
Groove, they're very
Yes.
valuable. Let me
Oh,
give this to you.
great, dude.
So that was good. So I was just thinking of like, just to start this off, because it's been like a huge buzz and then like people have been all on Facebook about it. So I was going to ask you, like, what is the craziest non-disc golf, like round specific thing that you've experienced at a tournament or a casual round? Because I have a great casual round one.
Yeah, I mean, I know we talked about that like a little bit beforehand. So I was trying to like come up with something, and like the craziest one is the who story. Like, honestly, that's probably the one, and I don't even want to put that like on blast really. Like,
Yeah.
which is like basically, long story short, like go to a tournament, car gets messed up, there's a third party involved, and I just get screwed out of all of it. And that's like the craziest one to me because there was like friendships involved, like people I thought were good people.
Yeah.
Turns out like they're just shitheads.
Yeah.
Like absolute like whatever. And it's more or less like money's just money. Like you can make more of it and whatever.
Right.
But you're willing to sacrifice friendship because of you don't want to own up to
X.
whatever. Like you're clearly in the wrong. Like if you really think that you're in the right, then it's like, then I don't want to be friends with you anyways, because you can't just like take accountability into that. But like any sort of story like that, they're similar-ish, but it was like kids, and it's at Victory Park, so for Angry Squirrel or something. And there's that one hole that's on the back nine, and it's 180 feet, 200 feet straight across onto that weird peninsula or whatever.
Yes.
And so that's where
great-
everybody
great
throws.
hole.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right.
I legitimately think it's an awesome hole.
I do
yes.
too.
And
Just a straight shot.
yes.
Yeah.
And so there's kids like in the area, and it's not like the best-ish area, I guess. Like, I mean, based off like houses that are there, they're like really dilapidated, or I don't know like what the economy is like there.
Right.
But they'll go fishing, and then they'll go and like pull out discs, and then they're really sneaky about it or whatever. And I've never like had to confront them because I put a disc in there and then they got it or something.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, disc golf related itself, I think the craziest one isn't even like that crazy, other than like it was at Ledgestone, I think like 2016, 15 or 16, something like that. And pro goes unnamed because he's a world champion. And I don't know, like I wasn't there entirely for it, but I was there when he was getting his disc fished out, and then so he throws into the water on this hole. Okay.
Yeah.
And to get to that is really hard from his side of the water. Dude on the card in front of us gets the disc out for him, throws it back to him. The guy who throws it in the water strokes him for giving his disc back because he threw it,
Yeah.
which is very like you're like, that I feel like that's
Yeah.
like a warning.
Yeah.
Like, just, hey, like if you're gonna do anything, because it's like warning, like, hey, you did this wrong, and it's
Right.
not like, and then after it's like, boom, like foot fault, boom, like, but that seems like very shisty, and even still, like that doesn't add up to like this story
Yeah.
at Mott. When I saw that, I was like, what the shit? And it never crossed me like, wow, it was like this time or this time or this time.
Yeah.
I don't have very, at least from what I can recall, very.
Yeah, it was very bizarre because it's
Yeah.
usually like so like you might have like a really small like confrontation at the end of a tournament about like something very specific, but usually I find like like it's usually the same people that have conflicts.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So like the same person will have a conflict with this person, and then like in a month they'll have a conflict with that person. So like at the end of the tournament, when like I don't know anybody named Larry, but like when Larry's like all
Yeah.
fucking pissed off because this guy did something, you're like, Larry,
Yeah.
classic Larry,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then I just
and then there's X amount of people that I know that I'm sure we have mutual knowledge of that is Larry.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's per.
I just change
that's
my
par.
shoes and get my stuff in my truck, and I'm like,
Yeah.
there we go.
Yeah.
But I've never had something like that where it was like really like crazy kind of conflict. But
Yeah.
one time last year, I went out to play Lakeshore, hit up the throw shop,
Yeah.
and I met up with Ty Alfano and my other buddy Zach, and we went and we played, and like I forget what hole we were on, but it was kind of like evening-ish. We were trying to like get every hole in that we could.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I heard like pop, 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 and it sounded like an air gun.
Mhm.
And I knew that Terry was out there like doing like different repairs and all this other stuff, and they were like working on the other course. And then there's that whole apartment complex there, so I thought it was a nail gun
Okay.
because I do
Yeah.
repair
That's
work,
what I
and-
was thinking too
yeah,
when you said
and
that.
I
yeah.
used a nail gun, so I even said like, man, like it sounded like a nail gun or whatever. And then
Mhm.
nobody said anything about it. And then we played like 3 more holes, and then there were like Suburbans with lights all tinted out and like police line tape, everything like stay away at the Dairy Mart right across the street from the course. So it turns out it
Wow.
was not a nail gun,
It was a gun,
but it was 2 people that had a shootout at Dairy Mart, like a literal shootout, which I was like kind of blown away at.
like the
'cause-
weird gas station right there that you're
Yeah,
okay,
right
like
across the street.
off of one.
Yeah. So right there. So we were
Oh
on
my
like I think we were on
God.
like 9 or something when it happened.
Yeah.
And so it turns out like someone had beef and they were keeping it real.
Yeah.
And they got up there and they were like, "Oh shit!" And then they pulled out their gun and like started shooting at that person. That person also carrying a gun was like, "Hell no, not on my watch."
Yeah.
They pull out their gun and like have like a full on gunfight at Dairy Mart.
Did anyone get shot?
And they got away. I don't know. Like
Okay.
I just remember hearing in the news like that there was a shootout. One person shot and then the other person returned fire.
So is that when you found out that it was a shootout, or did you find
Yeah.
out? Okay.
Well, once all the cops came and the police line came, I figured
Oh,
out
okay.
that it was a shootout.
Okay.
That
Yeah, yeah.
but I thought like one person had gone up and like just like unloaded a gun on somebody or whatever. But I
Yeah.
didn't know that there was like no, it was return fire and whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just live a really sheltered life.
Yeah.
Because if somebody ever shot at me, I definitely wouldn't be in this place of like, oh hell no, like
Yeah.
like let's get this going.
Yeah.
But that was kind of crazy. I thought. And,
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's the most like
Like not it's like amazing in the sense of like that's not normal. Like over there, maybe it's,
not normal
for
here,
them. No,
right?
no.
Not normal here.
In Troy.
There's plenty of places where it is normal though, which made me think like,
Yeah. Like wow.
that could be the world. That could be the life you're living.
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, it's
So,
nutty. But yeah, so I wanted to ask too
Go for
because my buddy Kyle asked me this question, and it was funny that you brought up, well, or you kind of brought up the story, but like that story happened with dudes stealing discs and whatever,
Yeah.
and with it being like your property or whatever.
Yeah.
At what point is it like if you are looking for a disc, like you lose your disc at Stony,
Yep.
like whole whatever, name, number on it, and whatever.
Yep.
And you're looking for like, I don't know, 10, 20, however long, and then finally, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to move on with this round.
Yep.
Is that disc still your disc, or is it whoever the fuck you finds it? Because, like, I personally, like, if I have, like, my name and number on it, like, I even write, like, please return. I've got stuff back because I've written please return on it.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't even know what this fucking thing is. Very few times, but it's happened.
Yeah.
But I've also had times where people will text me saying like, hey, I found your disc. I'm like, oh, sweet. Like, can I get it back? Because I'm more than willing. Like, I'll pay shipping and I'll give you like $5 finder fee or whatever, depending on like the disc. Like if I really want it back or not, it's like, it's whatever. But I've had people reach out to me and then be like, no, I just want to let you know I found it and I'm just keeping it.
Yeah.
So it's like me personally, it's like, what the fuck? Like that's just going the extra mile to be a dickhead in my opinion. But
Yeah.
like, I don't know if you share the same view. I know Fred has the view. It's like, as soon as you're like done looking, it's no longer your disc.
I
So I
would
don't
go.
know.
So the world that I've lived in very much is like, if you leave,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you can interpret that kind of one of, a number of ways. But I feel like for sure the minute you get in your car,
Yeah.
it's not yours anymore. Possibly.
But what if you like leave your phone on the course and then you get in your car and leave?
I'm talking about discs.
Yeah, I know.
Right. I'm not talking about like
Yeah.
personal property. Personal
Yeah,
property of value, like all that stuff. Not that discs don't have value, but like,
Right.
like other goods, let's say, I'm not talking about. But like disc wise, I think like the minute that you get in your car to go home and leave it behind, right, it's not yours.
Yeah.
I don't care if you lost it, and it's happened to me. It happened to us.
Yeah.
I don't care if you lost it at 9:30 at night at Stony, and the cop comes up and is like, "The park is closing in 10 minutes. If you don't get out of here, I'm going to rape your face." And you're like, "Oh God, no!" And you're like scrambling to the car, But like, yeah, you got in the car, it's over. It's over. If somebody finds it, if they want to return it to you and do the right thing, sweet. If they want to like just keep it and never say anything about it and black out your name, they can do that. If they want to like go some weird way and text you and let you know that you have it, but they don't want to give it back to you, it's up to them. Like I think at that point, honestly, it's up to them. But for me, like once you leave, so I think if you're out there and you leave the area to continue to play or to do something else, and then you're going to go back after the round and somebody finds it, it's real hard to be able to determine when they found it. Because obviously that day you're probably going to leave without it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if I left it on 8, played out the rest of the round to 18, went back, and unknowingly when I was on hole 12, someone found it, put it in their bag, and then like, I went back that night, couldn't find it, left. Like the minute I get in my car, in my mind, like that disc is gone forever. And if I get it back, great. If not, like I left.
Right. You're kind of like already in the mindset of like the disc is gone.
Right.
Like
Like,
even though it still exists, it obviously exists. It
Right.
didn't spontaneously go somewhere else.
Right. Like hopefully I'll get it back.
Yeah.
But at that point, I'm really like thinking of like how many backups do I have?
Yeah.
Do I need to start calling
What's
people?
the next one I'm putting in its
Right.
place?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, well,
it's already
like-
gone.
Yeah. Like now do I have to beat one in? Like where are we at?
Yeah.
But the weird one that I've always thought of is like when you can't find it, and maybe this was earlier in like my disc golf career because it doesn't happen a whole lot now. But when I can't find it, but there were people up there, and it's weird that I can't find it.
Yeah.
That's always the weirdest like interaction with me. So specifically when you're playing firefighters or some smaller course, there's a lot of intersection of holes.
Yeah.
So if
And it's not like you don't have tree pubes everywhere.
Right, and
Like
it's not, like,
it's
heavily
wide open
wooded.
ground. It's basically this.
Right.
Yeah.
So when I throw on 17 a turnover shot that hyzers the fuck out and it goes over by like 12's basket, 13's tee pad or whatever it is, there's people putting out on 12. There's people teeing off on 13 who I don't know. They look suspicious
Yeah.
for whatever reason. And then I walk over into a wide open area that I'm pretty sure it was and I can't find it. Like I always wonder like what the situation is when I just ask, like I'll ask like, hey, did you guys see a disc come over here? When they're like, no.
Yeah.
I'm like, did you really not see a disc come over here? And like, I always have that's the hardest one for me
Yeah.
because I just want to be like, I know you saw that fucking disc come
Yeah.
over here. Let me look in your bag. Like,
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So that's the one for me. And I really don't play courses that has come up very often anymore.
Yeah.
So, and when I'm playing like smaller courses, like my shit's pretty much like right on track. So I'm not
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, and usually every time that's come up with me, because there's been times where it's like I'm like 99% sure that you fucking have it,
Yeah.
but I'm angry that it's like not visible because it's like I'll throw this shot and then usually I've gotten good over the years. Like if I'm throwing a couple shots on, like say we go to toboggan, like that's a very hard thing to like. It was like right here, like hole 1, it's blind. How do you know it's like, right here? But like if I'm throwing multiples and then as soon as I have like a bad one, that's it. Like all the other ones are fine and whatever, and they're at least relatively right here. But that bad one is like I gotta find that one first, because as soon as you throw a second one and that's bad,
right.
now it's like game on for like hide and go seek, like pro edition or whatever.
Right.
But every time that I can recall, I've always been wrong. Like that 99% is like that 1% is like really they didn't see it or have it or whatever. And the only story I know of was Jared at Stony like forever ago, and it was I forget. I think it's 15's the little stupid hyzer on the blue course where it's like 140 feet, 150 feet.
13.
So the hole after that, the like blind turnover, he threw like a glow buzz And he's like, I know it's parked and whatever. And like, he goes, it's not there. He's looking around, like he spends like all this time, and he like asks the guys, and then he goes back to look because they said no, obviously not. And he goes back, and Jared can get like amped up, like Skylar, like to some degree or whatever. Yeah. And both could probably squat like 600 pounds or so at one point in
like
time or another.
Elite collegiate athletes.
Yes. Yeah.
These aren't you and me.
Yeah. So he goes back to him, and I think he's like with Fred or something too. Anyways, he goes back to him. He's like, let me see your bag. And they're like, why? It's like, I want to be sure you guys didn't just fucking steal my shit. Because I know it was like here. I knew I threw a good shot, and I can't find it.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. And they go, like, fine, whatever. Looks through, like, the one guy's bag, another guy's bag, doesn't find it. Third guy's bag, who is, like, the dicey guy, who's like, no, I didn't see anything. Like, why are you looking around? I'm right here.
Right.
And he pulls out the dude's discs, and it's underneath all the discs, like, laying flat underneath all of them to try to, like, conceal it. Just, like, rips it back and is like, you're a fucking dickhead or whatever the hell. Like, but that's, like, the only story that I have of that.
Yeah.
And then, like, when it comes to, like, finding discs, or like, is this my property now that I found it? I give it like 1 or 2. Like, I'll give you a call. I'll shoot you a text or two because people are more like, they don't answer their phones as much. Like, I don't know, a 760 number or whatever, or some like out of state number.
I don't
or
need
whatever.
a car warranty.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then,
my credit rate isn't changing.
Yeah. So then I'll shoot you a text like, hey, found your disc. I'll send a picture of it,
right.
And then like, what, you got like 24 hours from there. And then the next time, like if something were to show up, like that XL or something, is like, dude, I never got anything back. I sent 2 texts. I tried calling, nothing. Right. At that point, now it's like for sure, like you're done with it because you're not, I don't know, your number's changed or whatever the fuck it is. I'm not going all this extra way to give you a $15 brand new disc, and it's not $15 because it's not brand new,
right,
or whatever.
Mine, most of the time when I'm on the course and I find the disc, if it's not at a tournament, if it's a tournament, I'll like pick the disc up, take it back to Tournament Central.
Yeah, for sure.
When I'm on a course, if I find a disc, one, I don't want it.
Yeah.
Right. Like I think I found and used one disc, brand new, no markings on it, no nothing on it. Obviously, the person just bought it at the store. It was at Toboggan.
Yeah,
they took it to
that
Toboggan.
Zeus or whatever. Yeah,
took it to Toboggan, threw it off the hill on hole 3. It made it all the way to the bushes on the left.
Yeah,
and then they just didn't find it and walked away. And I was like, all right, whatever. Like it looked sweet. I was like, cool. I'm going to use this disc. Other than that, every disc I've ever found in my entire life, I'm just like, yeah, I don't want this. Like I don't throw this. Like most of the time, anything I find, I don't throw it. Yeah. Like it's not a disc I find. So I usually just take them and I'll put them on a basket. Like if it has no name or anything on it, I just take it and put it on the basket. Person behind me can live that moral quandary.
Yeah.
I had a moral quandary one time. I found an 11-time Firebird at Firefighters on hole 1, blue long on the right.
At Stony?
At Stony.
Okay.
Yeah. It was dope. And I was like, oh. Ooh, moral quandary. Had a name and number on it, and I was like, oh, this thing's so buttery.
Yeah.
So I threw it like twice, and I was like, oh man, like I've never done this. I've never, like trying to like justify it to myself. So I forget what hole I was on, but I was like, I wasn't done with the round yet. It was back when it was 27 holes. It was before they put in the
green course.
Yeah, before they put in 2 different courses. So I was playing on something, and then I threw it, and I totally couldn't find it, and I was so relieved.
Yeah.
I was like,
I'm sorry,
we're
bud.
still square.
Yeah, I did that at Toboggan this year actually on hole 3 too, and that hole is great because
I know this story.
There's wait, with the Pro Beast. Yeah. So I mean,
what does Pro Beast do?
Yeah. I don't know. Let's find out. But yeah, like that hole is great for people watching, and watching is like, well, like, I mean, Fred and I will sit there and like watch people throw. This is clearly not the shot. Oh, this is a turnover. I'm going to throw Roadrunner. Like,
right.
No, get punched in the forehead. Like throw something else. And so
I've turned it over to the right more this year than I have in my entire career.
Really?
For some reason, I keep thinking like, I got the touch now.
Yeah,
I can do this. and like, dude, I went up there the one time, and they were like these people who had never been there before and were not very good disc golfers. And I was getting ready to tee off, and I told them, I was like, well, let me give you a couple tips on the course.
Yeah.
Hole 3, just make sure you throw something that goes left. You don't want to go right. It's not worth it. Like whatever. And then I just straight up right in front of them right after I told that, just fucking hyzer flip something over like right into the shit. And I was like, yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
And
I
then
look like a dickhead.
they actually came down, caught up to me, and they found that disc. And I was like, Bro Jack, what's up?
That's
got this,
awesome.
guys. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, with that short story, then it's like I go and I find Pro Beast.
Yeah.
Hilarious. Like, how is this not way over to the right?
Right.
Like, this thing is so beat. Feels great. And there's like a name on it, like in like Chicken Scratch or whatever the hell it is. And then I go and I'm like, I'm going to see what this does. Lose it immediately on the same hole, like second shot. Like, and I give it like 5-10 minutes of like looking or whatever. And it's like, well, guess that's gone.
Yeah. Whoa.
Sorry.
My life will never be the same now.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. The funny thing with me is though, with like this whole thing and whatever, is I'll find discs, and when I find them, they have a name on them. Like I'll take them, and then I'll call people
Yeah.
when I remember. But what
Yeah.
happens sometimes is like I'll have a disc, and then it'll go. It's not on camera, but I have like a little wood box over there.
Yeah.
And like when I get home, as I'm unpacking my shit, I'll like put it in the wood box.
Yeah.
And I used to have a different bin before this whole setup got like this.
Yeah.
And I would just put them in there. And I'd be like, one of these days I'm going to call all those guys.
Would
and,
they?
and then it turns out Mark Kish, years go by. And then I'm like reorganizing my shit. And I'm like, man, I got to call these guys. I feel like such a dick. And then I'm reaching out like, hey, man, I found this tie-dyed crank. Like, I think when Obama got elected. I don't know if you throw this or not, but like no one's gonna respond. Like, yeah, I throw that.
Yeah.
Because dude, you haven't owned it for 3 years. Like, let's get serious. I know how many different bins this thing's lived in at my house. You know?
Yeah.
But no, I've started like returning those discs this year because like I had to reorganize my stuff.
Yeah.
When I switched
And
over,
it's just
like,
taking up space.
well, when I switched over to like the Discraft bag, then like in order to make all this make sense to my brain and have me not go OCD crazy, like I had to like move everything around, and then I was like 6 discs too many to have it make sense. So then I was like, I'm gonna go through and pull out all these like whatever random discs and shit. So then I started calling those back.
I still have a bin of those discs. I even have
I have a couple discs, I guarantee, in someone's
Yeah.
bin in their basement that like I would kill to have back.
Yeah. Oh, me too,
Yeah.
for sure. And like I'm still Yellow Casey Aviar.
Yellow Casey Aviar Ace disc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have my own bin of discs, and it's like I have I think 2 or 3 people's Ace discs.
Yeah.
And I've reached out and like I got in contact with them, and it was to the point it's like, dude, just give me the shipping for it and I'll just put it in there for you. Because
Right.
like I want my Ace discs back. I have that sentimental thing for
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
And like they're like, yeah, sweet, like blah blah blah, give me your PayPal, and then like nothing. And then I'll follow up like, hey, do you still want this disc? And then nothing. Like
Yeah.
I have specifically this Yellow Z Archer
Yeah.
that was in the basket. I think that he aced. So he like signed it and like put it back, or I don't know, or like it was just he like putted with it or something at some point. I was like, how is like it's just in the basket.
Yeah.
And so like at that point it's like he's probably still on the course. Text him, nothing. And then like he responded me to like later that night. It's like, oh yeah, I fucking love that disc, Ace. And he like told me the whole backstory of it
Yeah.
or whatever the hell, and then just ghosted me.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, I don't even throw this fucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
So now it's just a keepsake of just like, I have this Ace disc. Is it your disc? What'd you get? No. Somebody
No,
else.
no.
I wouldn't be caught dead
I got
throwing this
3
disc.
I have 380 Ace discs.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you had that many Aces. I don't.
Yeah.
I get people to like get gambling debts, and then I make them pay it back with their most valuable like property.
Yeah.
So I just take people's Ace discs. So,
Yeah.
all right. So unrelated to this, I have a question. I saw something today on Facebook, and there was a video posted, which was then taken down or whatever, about like, did Nico cheat? Did you see this?
I talked to Feldberg about that earlier.
So I wanted to ask you about this because I didn't see the video, and then I didn't know if it was I'm old. We'll just keep. Well,
Sure.
I'll keep bringing back to that.
Yeah.
So then I didn't know if it was like clickbait. That then I was like actually like helping someone out by like clicking on that or following through it or whatever.
Mhm.
And I figured you were coming over today so we could get into it. And if
Yeah.
it was something real, you would know.
Yeah.
So what the fuck is that about? And what was it?
Yeah, so I was actually talking to Feld, like before I called you, I was talking to him specifically about that. Like there was
Yeah.
some other shit, and then that came up. And other side note, he's like, you should reach out to him so Nico can like he'll do it, and then just say like Feldberg said blah blah blah,
Yeah.
so he can like defend himself. But ultimately, I guess, as it was explained to me, I haven't seen the video. Dave told me about a little bit about it, and I guess he was called out for cheating because he was breaking the time limit. So you have like 30 seconds, like when
Yeah.
you line up for your putt
Yeah.
or your shot or whatever.
Okay.
You have 30 seconds to decide and execute. And he was like there's so many clips of him obviously breaking this rule
Absolutely.
and whatever.
At the one point when he goes to get his putter out of the basket, he says like used all 35 seconds.
Yeah.
Like he said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like to me, it's a weird thing because I have my own reservations about that, I guess. And I get that it's a rule, but also there's people that just have like a time limit. And I don't think that he's going out of his way to do it. He's got a long routine just in general. Like, I don't think I'm going to try to win because I'm trying to stall everyone out. It's just, I think that's his setup or whatever. I don't know. I don't know from personal experience. Yeah. I'm also a Nico fan. Like, I was ecstatic that he fucking won.
Right.
I was ecstatic.
Disclaimer alert.
Yes.
Right.
But I need to figure out how to get like X person in on this. Like, we can just do like a phone call or whatever the hell, because I do want to hear like what he has to say.
Yeah.
But, two, also, I know he was taking other time because he was spin putting. Nico's not known for spin putting.
Right.
Like, he's pure on like pitch putter or whatever. Dave asked him like, why were you spin putting? He's like, dude, it was just so windy.
Yeah.
And there's times like, for sure, I think predominantly throughout the tournament he was pitch putting, but there was times where it was just like lines up a pitch putt. But I think it's easier to give runs spin putting. And like, I remember, I think it was like the third to last hole in the last round. It was like the elevated basket, and he was like within attack range, but maybe just the wind didn't set up for it. Because like pitch putt, if you're in a tailwind, it's easy to run that because you just lob it up there and it slams down. But in a headwind, it can like carry away and do some weird shit.
Yeah.
So spin putting, you can kind of like throw a little S on it. At least for me, like if I'm trying to do a safe run, it's like a nice little loft like spin at the end of it, and you throw it in an Anheuser. And if it like gets up there and makes it cool, if not, it just like floats and falls down.
Right.
But
Philo explains it beautifully.
Does he?
During Goat Hill, during his commentary. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just talking about like just put a little Annie on it. You know?
Yeah.
And a headwind, like, you know how
Yeah.
cool Philo is. He's like, you just put a little Annie on it. It's going to hold the angle.
He's
You can run
smooth
it.
as X-Lax.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, maybe he was doing it, but I can't say for sure. But I mean, that's what I got out of it. So, I want to see the video.
About?
Yeah.
All right.
From me getting that knowledge from Dave.
Right.
So I mean, yeah.
So we're the authority on this right now.
Yes.
Right. Third-hand information.
For sure.
Yeah. This is
Nico
the shit
fucking
that
cheated.
went down.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I think stuff like that is very much like, it's called on the course, right? The people that you're playing with are the people that are like also like, officiating what you're doing and all that stuff.
Yeah,
and
because that's where it all resides. Like, you can't go after and like he cheat. Like, you can have these weird discrepancies. It kind of falls. Maybe it's not the best example of like going with the GOAT, who's the greatest, like Kenny or Paul or whatever.
Right.
But you're not like there in that time.
Right.
So it's hard to like have my opinion on who's the GOAT. Like, I have my opinion, but I don't think it holds as much water as say Dave, because I haven't played one like with either of them, and two, there's not really coverage of Ken. Like, there is coverage of Kenny, but like in his prime, not really.
Right.
But Dave was there, so Dave can say
There's
like
some old
extra
video-
what? Yeah.
There's some old videos where that guy's like carrying the sign and Ken's beating everybody by like 37 strokes.
Yeah.
And the other guys are like still pumped just to be near Kenny, and Kenny's just like,
oh, dude.
fucking
Let me touch your ears. Let me touch your
ganging
ears.
down cigarettes.
Yeah.
I got this.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, that's, you guys are, it's
You're
all
the
within that
officials.
card.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're officiating each other. You are required to have your officials exam be like up to date or
Right.
whatever. And then if you guys can't resolve that,
Right.
then what? Because it's kind of the same thing. Like, if you're in it, like if this is inbounds and that's out of bounds, this is technically inbounds because this is just touching.
Right.
But if it's like really close like this, then it's like, one, benefit goes to the player, but two, it's you as a group to decide this.
Right.
So if you've decided that this, like, even if like this is in, and it's hard to see on, but it's like an inch away from it, and if you guys decide that this is in, that's up to you.
Right.
I would look at it and be like, you're out of bounds for sure.
Right.
But if you've decided that it's in,
Right.
what the fuck am I going to say about it?
Right.
And then I can be like, oh, you cheated or whatever. But also, you guys have made the decision that he's good.
Right.
I don't know how else you can go about that, because it's
Right.
not like we have officials on every card like I don't know how it is specifically on like the PGA Tour, but even then they're held to like the higher standard where, correct me if I'm wrong because you know better than I do, if they fuck up on their scorecard, like as soon as it's written down, that's it.
Yeah, they're screwed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But part of the thing that happened with it did happen with golf
Mm-hmm.
is someone watched the coverage, the live coverage, and then called in and called out a pro and they got penalized for it.
Really?
Yeah, it was like a huge scandal for the way that they spotted their ball while they were putting
Really?
and like got an advantage.
Who was it?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember who it was, but I remember it was like a huge thing. And then it was like, well, live coverage. Like if you're like what jackass like is sitting at home like, oh,
Yeah.
and then like, who the fuck do you call?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
What the shit?
who do you call? Like, how do you even look that
yeah,
up? Are you
definitely not Ghostbusters.
yeah, you're googling like I don't know. Anyways, so that was a thing. But I would think something on like time or something like that. You know, I've never seen anyone out on the course with their like phone on timer. You know what I mean, or like
No.
stopwatch or whatever it is. So I think it's like perceived 30 seconds. So I
Yeah.
would think in that situation, like it's as long as I think 30 seconds are, and once I bring it up or once it becomes a concern to me, like maybe then I want to take my mind off of trying to win this tournament and put it on like getting my phone out and starting my timer when it's his turn and watching it get to 30 seconds and be like, no, see, that time you were completely over.
Yeah.
Like those guys are out there trying to win a fucking tournament.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
like where your mindset would have to be like, all right, this is starting to take, like, he's starting to take longer and longer, or he already takes too long, or whatever it is. And then literally be of the mindset that, like, I am going to now take this action to pull out my phone to have proof that when he started and when he stopped was more than 30 seconds and all that. And I think unless it's something that's disruptive to the other players or is like a legitimate issue that they feel is a competitive advantage or something like that, those guys are in the mindset of like trying to perform at a high level and trying to win.
Yeah.
They're
Because
not-
as soon as they're doing the 30-second thing,
Yep.
they're away from their game.
Yeah.
Because they're focused on you.
Right. While you're putting, they're
Yeah.
still thinking about their shit.
Yeah.
Like when someone else, like I always tell people when I play, right, wrong, or indifferent. You know what I mean? Like I'm not a big fan of people stealing my pad.
Yeah.
Right? I don't like that because like I earn the pad and like it keeps me in a better rhythm when I'm first on the tee pad.
Yeah.
But realistically, besides that, if you want to go before me, and anybody that's ever played with me will tell you this, like if you want to go before me, fucking do it, dude. If you're set
Yeah.
up and you're ready or you're feeling it and you want to go, I don't care.
Yeah.
Because my game comes down to how I perform and what I do with the opportunities that I'm given.
Yeah, and there's like a legitimacy to it because of you earning that pad. I know in like casual rounds, I'm pretty notorious, like just ready golf, like
Yeah.
that's just how it is. But in like tournament play, earning that pad, the rotation of tee-offs does, I think, to some degree, define how it plays out.
Yeah.
Because if X person and X person are like head to head, and then dude steals the pad, it could just like they could have had a different game plan based on how you were going to throw or X
Right.
person was going to throw. So if it's like, oh shit, you went OB. So now it's like, I could just throw this
Play
simple
safe.
thing that's like,
Right.
yeah, very safe versus the other way around. When it's like, well, fuck, one, you stole the pad, courtesy violation, whatever the hell.
Right.
And then it's like, I got to deal with that. So it's a weird thing
Yeah. I
to
just
some degree.
Yeah. I just don't see people at that level that have spent like we talked last time about like the process of progress and all that thing. Like you've put in all that time, all the work, everything to get to that level, and then you're there and you're thinking about like, man, this guy's taking 35 seconds to putt.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get my phone out. I'm gonna get
Yeah.
totally mentally out of my game and
Yeah.
get on
You're
my
like
phone.
doing something wrong because
Yeah.
your brain is or your mental game isn't where it should
You're
be.
not dialed
Yeah.
in. So it
Yeah.
like that brings up an interesting question in my mind, and I had thought of it earlier in the day that I wanted to bring up as a topic, but now definitely seems very poignant with this coming up. What do you do to get into like tournament mode? Do you specifically have a place of mental space that you like to be in when you're playing at like a competitive level?
Mm-hmm.
Because we talked about before in terms of like getting into like the competitive juices when you're getting back into leagues and then you want to go back to playing tournaments and whatever. And I know that we both played an amazing 926 rated round at
Yeah.
Northridge Church that neither one of us
Yeah.
could like get into gear on.
Yeah.
But do you have like a thing that you're trying to get to? Like I know we both also talked about like over warming up. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I remember I saw Jared at States the first time I saw him at States, and that motherfucker was like dripping sweat, literally like ripping drives and like running
Yeah.
over to his disc and picking. And I was like, dude,
Yeah.
he's warmed up, and I was
Oh,
like, I'm
he
not
is-
warming.
He is so warm.
I'm not warming up
He's
enough.
so
you
warm.
know? But
I need to sweat like him.
yeah, like, dude, does
What
anybody have
the
an
shit?
agility ladder?
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, I do. So, and that's changed like throughout the years because that's, as I said or touched on before, where it's like, that's where I needed the most work. And arguably everybody
Yeah.
needs that because I'm like 90-10. So 90% mental, 10% physical, whatever.
You can only
is-
say that though because you have huge long arms. So if you have
Not
short,
necessarily.
if you have short arms, it's like
Yeah.
70-30.
Yeah. Whatever the hell. So it's changed throughout the years. So it went from like trying to like when I was first trying to figure it out, it was trying to treat it in some way of a casual round. So it's not like so much pressure on it. And then variations of that, because it's obviously like you feel pressure because you want to do well, like you want to win or whatever the hell it is, like to prove to yourself, prove to like others or whatever your
get the
reason is to get
ladies.
the fucking ladies. Yes. So it's Gabby Amanda just came back, won a tournament.
Yeah. Oh, what's up?
Yeah, it's time. You know what we talked about. So it went from trying to figure out to like trying to like test things, and a lot of times it was I played well with like my friends, like specifically Jared. I played with Jared a lot, so it was kind of mentally putting myself into that mode.
Yeah.
But the things that actually deter me that I still have to work on based on our round at Northridge is not letting the other people's like negativity affect me, or if like my friend, because I really do enjoy playing with my friends. I enjoy playing with you.
Yeah.
But when there's like this weird slump of whatever, where it's like legitimately I feel like I should just go fuck myself because I like spoke up or was trying to like explain something so nothing happens like
In the
future,
Right.
Dan. That it's like it just puts me in a weird mood when realistically I know I need to overcome that because that's just going to happen. And specifically, and you were there for states when we spent, and you were still with Danielle, and I came back from the course.
Yeah.
And you're like,
The
I had never seen Zach like this before
Yeah.
ever. And it was one of the worst tournament rounds I've ever been a part of, where it's like, I know I need to like overcome this.
Yeah.
But also I think it's on a professional level as competitors to not affect the card in this way. Like you're here to like show professionalism
Yeah.
to display that for the sport.
Right. And it's a game of
So-
etiquette.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're out there like bitching and whining because you can't have your candy bar, Timmy, well, it's like, no, you can't, whatever. You're like 20, 30, like you're a full grown person,
Yeah.
like fully developed brain. And then this is just how you interact. And I'm playing this round with these people where it's like, I'm there to compete. I'm there. I want to play well. And literally all three of the competitors I'm playing with were just like the biggest fucking crybabies I've ever dealt with. And it's like, dude, I wish I could punch all of you in the forehead with like a rock and then just leave.
Yeah.
Because it's just, like, I'm so mad because it's like, I'm still playing well. But you guys are just, while I'm teeing off, you're mumbling to yourself in the background. While I'm trying to putt, you're over there smashing your chair into the tree. While I'm doing whatever, or like others. It's not just me. It's like they're doing it while the other people are also being like crybabies too.
Right.
Where it's like, not even just to me, but for your fellow competitors. Like, even though I'm competing against you, I want to play well and I want you to play well. But what I really want is I want you to play well and I want to be good enough to be able to beat you at our best.
Right.
Like,
wanna-
whether
I
it's
wanna
you,
beat you.
or these other people or whatever the hell,
Right.
I don't want to win because you kept fucking up. But like, I want to win because I played well. If you fucked up, that's your own damn fault. If I fucked up, that's my fault. So that's something I really focused on throughout like the past few years. Like, that's mental strength in and of itself. I know that this affects me in this way. I know that I can't let it affect me in this way. Now what do I do? So
Yeah.
now it's trying to put myself in a world, like, if I recognize that this is happening, if I know going into it that these people are like this, that I'm going to have to kind of like go into la la land in some way, where it's like I'm living with myself and they're just here existing with me and I'm here just to play the course, and I have to enjoy that. I have to actively work at not letting certain things affect me that I know affect me, and that's just part of the mental game. And then something that's recently helped me a lot, honestly, is Disc Golf Valley.
Yeah.
So like thinking of playing my game like I do in there, because of the cliche, like play how you practice how you play. Because if you're not doing that, then you're not really playing your game. It
Yeah.
makes no sense. So if I'm treating all my rounds like I'm playing in there, which is like, I don't like, hopefully this makes sense, but like when I'm throwing a drive in there, I know it's different because I don't have it's just your finger on a screen.
Right.
But it's like I'm setting up, all right, this is a par 4, 600 and whatever feet. You're forced to know what the wind is doing more so because we're all at the same level based on this game. So
Right.
discs are going to react basically the same way. So how are you going to actually play that, and where are you going to try to land? And it's more of a like placement, but like strategy to it.
Right.
So I try to bring that mindset literally to this, even though like, oh, what do you mean you do that like that? I already do this. Well, this is how I had to figure that out
Right.
to really take my time to figure out what it is. And then the other thing is trusting my gut.
Yeah.
Like that, and I think that goes with anybody, like your intuition, your gut. Like if you're stuck between two discs on a hole, what does your gut say? Like, and it's like, for me, it's an immediate thing. So if I have to throw like PD2 or turn on something, then it's like PD2. I know what the disc is going to do. I know it's fast, but I know it's predictable and what it's going to do and how I should throw it to get there on X hole or whatever. And then having confidence in yourself of everything, and that's probably number one, is confidence in yourself, in your ability to do X, Y, and Z, and knowing your skill level for attacking certain things. So if you know that you're not going to get there in 1 on 3 at toboggan, because I don't know that anyone that can, maybe like the big guys who just go all out and just have like spotters just in case to know where their disc is, because they can then just throw freely. Maybe they get there.
Yeah.
Or just knowing that you can't get there in 1, so now you're playing placement golf. Where do I want to be, and what can I throw consistently? Not like, well, Darren can do it, I can do it, or
Right.
Paul can do it, I can do it, so on and so forth. In
Right.
some degree, you're having to play your own game. So like if it makes no sense, like if your skill level is the same, it makes some sort of sense. If this person's skill level is different,
Or if their
versus-
or if their game's different.
yeah,
Right.
then it's like you can't really make the decision off of that. You have to make it based off of yourself and what you're doing, and make your game plan better than their game plan and execute better your game than they do. You win great.
Yeah.
And one of the things that actually I relearned that drives me fucking crazy to some degree, like I get it. I do understand. Bagger, just to razz the person for winning.
Yeah.
When really, like, I think it should be like a more of a cumulative congratulatory thing.
Yeah.
I think that gives us some amateur like status, like in my opinion. Like I get it, but it's everything that I've gone to like tournament wise, not like the big ones. Like I haven't done well enough at the bigger tournaments to go to like the award ceremonies, or I'm traveling with people who like I play better than they do and they're all butthurt about it. So I drove.
They got to get home.
Yeah. It's like, okay, well, I guess I'll just go fuck myself and
Right.
not want to do what I have to do or would like to do. That's something that I've relearned that just kind of bugs me. Like it doesn't like affect my life in some way, but it's like, this is just kind of like, why can't you just give compliment? It's
Yeah.
always like some bullshit. I get it if it's like dudes won AM4 like 7 years in a row, like
6-time amateur of the year.
Yeah.
Or 6-time
yeah, like
rookie
what
of the year.
are you
Yeah.
trying to do? Like you're like
Yeah.
it seems strange. Like I think that you should be moving up or forced to be moved up all the way until like AM1, like actual amateur, because it's like intermediate or rec, intermediate, amateur, and then pro.
Right.
Like that's the big step. Like I think if you stay AM like your whole career, fine.
Right.
That's fine. Because that's the difference. You're playing for plastic versus actual cash versus plastic, and plastic. Like why wouldn't you try to like do better, be better for yourself in that way? You're still playing for the same thing. And also like you've won this tournament X amount of times in a row. You started here because you're new. What do you think other people are doing in this division? Like they're new. Like Dan started like AM3, but like, yes, he throws far, but also his consistency off the tee is like,
Yeah.
bro, like what the shit? Like it makes sense that he's there, but also by far he's putting way better than
Right.
probably everybody else. Like his putting is phenomenal. Like with how short he's been seriously playing,
Yeah.
he can putt from 100 feet, like stepping through sometimes,
Right.
depending on like wind. So I don't know, but that's kind of like my thought process to some degree. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. My tournament setup, like last year I had dialed in, and it helped me a lot because I definitely beat or did better than people that are better disc golfers than I am. Like I definitely did better at tournaments than people that can definitely throw farther than me and definitely like do more things than I can do or whatever. But I feel like my mindset going into it was very much like, this is what I'm trying to execute on each hole. Right. And then when I'm getting ready to tee off, like, this is the shot I'm trying to throw, standing on the tee pad, holding my disc at the angle I want to hold it on, and be like, I'm trying to do this angle with this much spin at 80% power, going back to the tee pad, letting my brain relax, and then just trying to execute that one thing. And I feel like when I'm in the right mindset, when I've done my morning routine the right way, when I've warmed up properly and my brain is harnessed into what I'm doing, that then it's just executing one shot in a row to like bring about this game plan that I have. And not letting, like, when I don't execute, beat myself up over it. Like, just being like, no one's going to play perfectly, and if they do, I'm probably not going to beat them anyways. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm going to go out somewhere and Wygren or Skylar or somebody else is going to go out and play like a perfect round, dude, I'm not going to win anyways. So I can't worry about it. I just got to like really try to do like the best I can on each shot and really like bring my game plan into reality. And it helped me all year. I didn't have an issue with it. I could really like, my morning routine worked. I started the tournament every time like where I wanted to be. Like, one trick I use that I've told a bunch of people about is like, whatever the first hole, when I'm on the first hole, whatever I think I should get, like, I just give myself like a 1-stroke mental buffer. Because like, I'm going to be a little tight. I'm going to be a little nervous. I'm going to be whatever. So if it's like a hole that I'm thinking like deuce or die, I give myself like 3. Like, I give myself a par. So I'm not going to beat myself up over like not birding the first hole.
Yeah.
Or if it's a 3,
yeah,
you know
like
what I mean?
Hole 1 at Firefighters, where it's like casual round. It's like, I want to do this.
Right,
I should
do
be
it.
doing this.
Right.
Versus there, where it's like same thing.
Right.
Totally.
Right.
Totally.
So I'm thinking like, all right, I'll give myself like the 1 free stroke on the first hole without mentally getting down on myself and being like, oh, I fucked this up already. Because that's like, I think the worst thing. And also like the anxiety, carrying the anxiety through the round. Like, most of my round mentally is just trying to like minimize anxiety. I want to play like neutral golf. Like, I want my brain to be clear and my body just to execute.
Yeah.
So every chance I get to like do something that's going to minimize the amount of anxiety in my system, I do it. Because I think like anxiety or frustration or whatever it is that you deal with, like minimizing that and managing it throughout your round really equates to better scores. So like, I'm conscious of it. And so while I'm playing, I'm just trying to like, whether it's joking around with people, whatever it's doing, all of the things that I'm doing, I'm trying to like use to minimize that like build up.
Yeah.
So you don't end up like 2 bad throws in a row and you're like, God damn it, and you're like ready to kill somebody.
Yeah. And then one thing I was thinking of as you were talking too is that I don't know when I started doing this, but I've worked at stopping doing it again. Is yes, the basket is your target, but you don't have to like ace run every fucking tee shot. That's not how it like works. Right. So it's like you have your bullseye on the ground, and realistically, like 30 feet is a pretty big area to land in. So if you're at a basket and you're thinking like how to get there, like how do you get there for a putt? Like not how do you get parked? Like sometimes, but there's holes. I mean, at Northridge, there's a couple like shorter, like, I don't know, 280, 300-foot holes where wide open. Yeah, you should be like really close or whatever pretty consistently. But in these lines where it's like, to get close isn't terribly difficult, or like have a putt even in like a long like 40, 50-foot area. Yeah. But getting parked is like, wow, that's phenomenal. And that's a completely different shot. Like, so you have the triple Mando. Yep. You have the little derp after that. And then you have the straight one after that, right? The one after that I'm referring to, where it's a very wooded, tight shot, maybe 300 feet or so. Right. And to get like to putting, realistically, like mid-range, like kind of flippy, throw it up the middle, let it fall right, and then you have a putt for birdie. Ace run, overstable, maybe faster, where you're doing the same flex and then getting that skip left. That's just how I see it in my mind. Yeah. One, a much more consistent shot. Another, that second shot, way more difficult of an execution. Yeah. Like, for me, that's where I had to like veer away from.
Yeah. For me, I I find this year I'm out there throwing shots more than I am playing.
Do you have the
tournaments.
paper towel over there still?
Yeah.
Can I have it? I need to blow my nose. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's right. So I feel like during tournaments this year, I've gotten more. At least recently, I've gotten away from like executing a game plan and playing a tournament and doing a lot more of like throwing shots, where I'm just out there throwing shots and then moving on, and then I get to the next one, and I'm out of like if my drive didn't land where I wanted it to land, then now I'm just there like, oh, what am I going to do now? And then I'm throwing that shot, and then I'll throw the next shot, and whatever it is like goes on. And I kind of lose my game plan. And then after like that hole, I'm not then reorienting to get back to like executing my game plan on the next hole. And then all of a sudden like 3 holes have gone by. And where I should have been playing like 2 down, I actually played like 1 over. And then mentally I'm like, well, what the fuck just happened? Like I'm out here to do this tournament. And I don't know if it's because of like COVID or like the season being so weird or whatever it is, but like I've had a harder time like dialing into that. But when I am dialed into it, what you were talking about affects me more on up shots. Because like the shot off the tee pad, I usually have a very clear idea in my mind of like, this is the shot. And if it is a thing that I can run, I'm going to try to run it. But for the most part off the tee pad, like I'm not trying to like ace stuff. Like I'm not really wired that way.
Yeah.
But on up shots, I find that like I'm trying to get my up shot to a putt, not trying to get my up shot under the basket.
Yeah.
And it makes a big difference in my score. Because like if I have a patent pending and I'm hanging out the side of the fairway and I have a branch hanging over me and I have to like cut this shot out the outside, before I throw it, I just think I just need to get to a putt. And then I just throw like a much more relaxed shot, probably out like safer and wider, and have it cut over, and I land 20 feet out and it's not a hard putt. Where previously, or at times when I'm not really focused on what I'm doing, I'm thinking like, I got to get this up there, and then I'll cut it in. It'll catch the bush that's like kind of right in front of me, or I'll like, kind of like shoot it down too low or whatever, because I'm too concentrated on getting it like under the basket or give it a run or whatever.
Right.
And I feel like I throw a bad drive, right? I'm probably going to get a par. On a par 3, I'm probably going to get a par. Because I'm not counting on throw-ins. So then like in that moment of actually getting ready to take that shot, I'm just trying to think on like, I'm playing for the par. Get it to where there's a comfortable putt, and how can I get it there comfortably? Instead of like letting my brain take over and be like, I'm going to throw this in and it's going to be sweet.
Yeah.
And then I hit a bush in
Very
front of me.
low percentage shot.
Yeah. And then I hit the bush in front of me, or I'm just trying too hard. Same thing off the tee. When you're like just trying too hard, it's when I throw it low.
And I think that's what forces that to happen when you're in the mindset of like getting it close or like giving it a run. You're then like trying too hard because you're now forcing yourself to throw that
perfect shot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I expect perfection instead of like, I'm just going to throw the shot that I know is going to give me opportunity. And I don't know how many times Paul said it and other people, but like opportunity like breeds success like in the game. Like if you have opportunities to get birdies, great. Because even if you're taking the same score, like if you have a dude, you go to firefighters, let's say, you and I, we go play, we both shoot par.
Yeah.
3s on everything, which hopefully isn't the case, but still, like, say that's the case, and say, like, I'm, like, not getting off the tee, and you're getting within 40 every time, but I'm, like, within 100 every time. You played better than I did just because you gave yourself opportunity.
Yeah.
You're more likely to be shooting better than me at some point in time because of that, or vice versa, or whoever the hell it is, just because of that. So that's something that I've been trying to keep, like, in my mind, and that helps me with not having to throw like perfect lines. Yeah. Because yet again, what you said earlier when I said to you is like, if people are playing perfect,
right, you're not going to beat them.
Right. Yeah. Like
unless they're terrible.
Yeah.
And they played perfect, and then you won't even know that it happened.
Like this Saturday doubles event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had like a rule last year that I played with that actually helped me mentally. Now that you said that, like opportunities. It's when I was driving out there, like obviously like the drive to the tournament, I'm thinking about the course I'm playing, what am I doing, what's my game plan, all this stuff. But I also think about like holes that I can reasonably birdie, and I'll think of it in my head of if I was going to play 2 casual rounds with my friends, what holes would I birdie, and like out of the 2 rounds together. So if there's 18 holes, then I'd be like, I would birdie like 12 holes throughout the day out there, right? Like there's 12 holes out there that I could reasonably, without doing something fantastical, right? Like I could birdie those holes. And it always go with like 2/3 of that for my actual goal for the tournament, for like for like that round. You know what I mean? So like if you're going to firefighters, it's like, okay, I can birdie 18 holes.
Yeah.
Right. Like I could birdie all 18 holes without doing anything fantastical. Right. Like I could get there. Or like if you took 11 off or something. Right. But let's just, for round numbers, let's just say it.
Yeah.
So reasonably, if I was playing firefighters, like I would be in my head, like I want to shoot 12 down.
Yeah.
Right. Like the 2/3 of that, just giving like, if I can get myself an opportunity, most of the holes that I think I can birdie, and I can capitalize on like 3/4 of those, right, I should balance out to about like, and that's kind of in my head, like to keep my expectations realistic. You know what I mean? About like what I'm actually trying to do and how I feel about my score and what it is that I'm doing. And I would have an easier time executing with that in my mind. You know, like it wasn't too much pressure on me. Like you were talking about, like, you know, like playing tournament, like you don't want to be out there like I got to win this and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You don't want to have this crazy pressure because then you're trying to throw everything perfectly. But just that kind of idea for me kept me like loose and kept me like engaged and motivated and like plugged into my game plan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like 2/3 of however many holes I think I can birdie. It's just you're in the dark when you're playing a course. You don't really know.
Yeah.
You know? That's
Yeah.
like,
That's tough.
yeah.
And like for me, and I'm sure it's the same for a lot, is like I've played a course. What was it? Not Star JC, but I think just Star Park or something. I don't know. It's in the middle of nowhere. Really cool, like kind of deuce or die course. But like that's one of like maybe a handful of times I've played it blind, and I shot course record like, and then got beat by Barham by 1 stroke. So I shot 14 blind.
Yeah.
Just because I was able to execute, and it just worked out.
Yeah.
Versus knowing what the course was. I shot, I think, 2 strokes worse the second time around.
Yeah.
But even still, it's like the first time should have been, like, it probably should have been flip-flopped. But also that first round is, like, kind of a fluke. Like, being able to
you're
shoot
just
well
feeling it.
blind
Right.
is a really unique trait to be able to have.
Yeah.
Where it's like you can trust what your discs are going to do and you throw it. As for me, I go and I play somewhere blind, or a course I haven't played in a long time. Like I played Independence on Saturday. I haven't played that since last year, or maybe longer actually. And it was like, I know, like I recognize this hole. I know what I used to throw. But like now, because how I used to play then versus now, I mean, it alters.
Right.
Like you have a better feel for something here and there. And there it's
that was
like,
my Sunday at Mott, same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I should have gone out and played it last week.
yeah,
And I didn't.
I told Dan, because I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to be more
Professional.
professional, organized, have a game plan. And even with Dan, like I know Dan wants to get good. He's trying. I'm trying to like help him out. Like I got discs, even for you. Like I went to Scott, here's like $120. I'm going to raid your stash. He's like, all right. Here's discs for you. You go practice. I know you lose them, but I know you like these discs and then you throw them well. You, Kyle, and whatever. And I played doubles with very few people. Like Jared won, Scott another. Scott still drives me a little. At least the last time I was playing, was like he'll get like a little sassy about it or whatever, like down kind of quickly. So it's like I have to quickly like build him back up.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do that with Dan, like at least play a round or two, see like where we're at, like doubles wise, because there was a couple instances there where it's like you made some bad choice there. I'll give you an example in a second, but I wanted to relearn the lines. I wanted to like really dial in like what I wanted to throw, even if it was like I'm gonna throw a putter off this and then I'll decide later what the putter would be, or like any variation of it, just so I have an idea, so I know where the baskets are at, because a couple holes changed. But then on one of the extras, it's the par 4. Like, are you familiar with the extras or no?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So it's the one that goes around and then you have to throw over the water.
Yeah.
So I'll give you the layout and you tell me what you would do in this situation. So you and I are partners. We're playing this hole.
Yeah.
And off the tee, you decide to go sidearm or whatever, just to like try to get up high and have it float down right.
Right.
You throw it too straight, and we're like on the high side of the hill looking straight at the basket.
Yep.
I go sidearm, try to get like cut the corner with a high speed disc and try to get really close.
Right.
Just that's the more risky shot, but if it works out, great. If
You already
not,
got
we
something
still
safe.
have something.
Right.
So now, who throws and what do they do?
What do you mean?
Because we take, my shot gets messed up. We have to take yours,
Right.
which is in the safe spot. It's a long look across the water, kind of tight gap or whatever.
Yeah.
So now, who goes
Yep.
and what do they do? Do they play safe for the first shot, or do they try to go for it, or what? I know what I would do.
Okay, so I think in that circumstance, the first person's going to throw the safe shot. And like for me, when I have partners, I always let them choose if they want to go first or not. And every time I play partners, I tell them the same thing.
Yeah.
If you ever just want to go. If you always want to go first, always go first. If you always want to go second, you can always go second. I just want, because I want them to be comfortable.
Yeah.
Because I'm already like counting on them to do
something. Yeah.
And like, I want to be the guy that's there. Like, if you need me to like rub your back in between each hole.
Come here, bro.
If you can save me 4 strokes, like I'm in.
Yeah. Hey, I got this gun I just got. You know, I'll just hammer it out.
Yeah. And I also want like some accountability on your point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want at the end of the round to be like, here's a bunch of excuses.
Yeah.
Because when we're going to the car, we both know, like, I fucked up hole 9, you fucked up hole 6, or like, you know, whatever. But I'd look at in that situation specifically, like the person that goes first is going safe. And I would say the person that is, for that shot specifically, the person that's like the straight thrower, right? Because you have people like, I throw very straight most of the time. I don't throw a lot of high, like I do throw hyzers and stuff, but when it's like a wide open field, I'm still going to throw like a straight shot. It's just like my style, how my brain works, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So in that circumstance, like for the safe shot, I'm going to let my partner do whatever he wants. But if it was like you and me playing, obviously I'm going to go first because I'm thinking like my game is straight. So I'm going to probably be able to like get something like straight shot to get over the pond, land somewhere up there by the basket and be relatively safe.
Yes.
And then you can do some fucking like magic or whatever, throw some hyzer or forehand Scooby or whatever the fuck it is, and like weave some line that can actually like put us like under the basket or make a run at it.
Yeah.
Right. Which would be like, right. But in partner golf and even in individual golf, there's plenty of times when I line up for a shot and I'm thinking like, throw it safe. And then somewhere when this thing starts moving backwards, my brain's like, you fucking got this. And I'm like, I do got it. And then I'm like,
you're right.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah. And then I'm like, and I'm like, God,
I don't got this.
why did I listen to him? Me. So I can understand, you know, that thing of like, yeah, I'm going to throw the safe shot. And then literally like right as you're getting ready to get into it, you're like, no, I got this. And just like, dude, I'm assuming because we're talking about it that that's what took place.
It was so the tee shots are specifically what just happened.
Yeah.
And then Dan is very antsy to throw. So like there was obviously a weight on that hole. And we talked like a little bit here and there of like what's going to happen. And Dan was saying something about like, well, we're just going to lay here and I'm just going to like lay up or whatever. But I didn't like, I heard part of it because it was after like, I said I was going to do this. And then I recalled it because I was just focused on what I wanted to do. And I knew in my head, and I didn't convey it the best, what should take place.
Right.
So he throws first. He throws first every time because his throws are sporadic. I'm a little more consistent than he is. So I'm going to base what I do off of what he does.
Yes.
Okay. I think that's a pretty solid game plan to start.
Even if we were partners, I would probably just always go first. Yes.
So he throws a felon sidearm. He like the idea is right. He misses it a little bit. Like instead of lofting it like his shoop that he's notorious for doing, which he needed to do here, didn't do through a good line drive. So he's on the high side of the hill. I throw PD2 inside, try to cut that corner. So we take his because mine's in no position to do anything other than both of us are just laying up. We get to his lie. And he's all like, as I'm putting my cart down and I'm like, all right, let's think about this. I turn around and he's already lining up and like throwing. And so in my head, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
But as you're throwing like this, is he like putting to the bottom?
He's putting to the bottom. He's throwing safe shot. I'm thinking like, how about one of us runs it? Like regardless, even if it was you and me from up there, from where we're at to do a putt safe shot is like a 50-foot putt to put us in a good position to throw clear straight across, where I think both of us have the skill set to be able to be the person to lay up. So my thinking is whoever's feeling that straight shot, you go. So if it were him and he was like, yeah, I'm feeling it, or he's like, no, I'm not really feeling it, whatever, I'll go because I want to throw across. I want somebody to throw across first, and then the second be the safe shot. Okay. Because if the first person does make it, then the second person has opportunity to do the same thing, because now we have two options from up there, and one, maybe you're parked, or maybe you throw it better because you have less pressure to throw perfect shot because you're
Right.
already knowing he's right there.
Yeah.
At least we have a putt.
Yes.
But now I feel pressure on me because not only did he go first, did he throw the safe shot that ended up like iffy or whatever, and even still it was an easy up and down from there. Now it's like I have to execute, I have to whatever. And the even fuckier thing on top of that is I throw a shot, I pull it right a little, and it hits one of the trees in the swamp area, and immediately it's like that's immediately OB. I don't know if I'll even be able to find it. And then it was like it actually made its way all the way through, so we had like a 35-footer for 3 actually. But I was more frustrated that there was like the lack of communication across like both of us really,
Yeah.
because I think that's the smarter thing to do is if it was a harder safe shot,
Yeah.
then I would say do safe shot first. But with how relatively easy it is because it's just a putt there, it's not like you're actually throwing it. You're throwing like a spin putt. He's pretty good at throwing that distance and controlling it. I'm pretty good at throwing that distance and controlling it. That if the first person who goes for it fucks up, that it's like now you make the decision, do I go for it because you fucked up or do I lay up?
Yeah.
And ideally it'd be like, unless you're like 100% on this, like you're going to do it or whatever, lay up. Like that's the difference between a 4
I
and
disagree.
yeah.
On that hole, I'm never laying up before the pond.
Mm-hmm.
Ever.
Yeah.
I've like literally hit like a hole like this big in those bushes to the right of that opening
Yeah.
and gone like ridiculous. But like I was in a tournament, I got caught. I like grazed a tree on the way over, landed short of the opening, couldn't get to the opening, and all I had was this tiny hole in front of me.
Yeah.
So I just ripped a disc through the hole and just went like 80 feet past the basket.
Yeah.
And got I got across, but like I was thinking it was going to hit some foliage at some point,
Yeah.
either on this side of the water
Yeah.
or that side of the water, and then like trickle down. But I gave it enough to make sure it got across.
Yeah.
And instead I was like 100 long, and then I didn't have a shot coming back. So then I had to lay up over there and I ended up taking the 4 anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But for that hole, I'm thinking 2 people, one of you is going to get across. Like I would never in my mind think for doubles to like leave it short, like that the layup would be on this side.
Right.
Because I'm
and
thinking,
that's why I wanted him to do it. Even if it was me going first.
Yeah.
I still think that, I mean, depending on how terrible it was, unless he's like if you're feeling it, like go for it.
Right.
That's I'll take that risk or whatever. But if you're really not feeling it, just lay up. Like if you're too antsy about it because like I fucked up or whatever, or if you feel less pressure because you want to go first, I'll take either one of it because I'll massage you. I'll get you whatever the fuck you need because I'm comfortable enough because he's newer to competition.
Right.
Versus I have more experience, more like there's not this weird tension. Like I don't know how his brain works if he gets like super tight and like amped up while it like the round's going on, or he's like totally relaxed, like we're playing a casual round.
Yeah.
And for the most part, like he's in more that side of the fence than like, oh shit, now we're in a tournament, and, like things matter and whatever. Right. And I'd like to attribute to like all the Taco Bell he's bought me because of playing those rounds, because I want that same thing. I want something to be on the line. So when this time comes,
right,
it's not scary or like nerve wracking or whatever the hell.
Yeah. I just think in general though, playing doubles rounds with people, it impacts the way that you like think about them as a human in the future. Mm-hmm. You know. Like I've played doubles rounds with people that I really like, and when I'm done, I'm like, this fucking guy, you know. Like,
really?
And there's never very much on the line for like doubles.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but
yeah.
I'm just thinking like, because for me, I guess so much of a part of my game is the decision making. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because there are things that I just can't execute that like I really rely on the decision making, and I really get pissed at bad decision making. Yeah. Like I don't get pissed at the execution.
Yeah.
If we're like, this is the shot.
Yeah.
And you miss the shot, I get it.
Yeah.
But when it's like, we could do that shot, or I'm going to do this thing I've never even heard of before, and I'm going to do it, and then like it fucking blows.
Backhand thumber, what's that? I don't know. I'll give it a whirl.
It's a turnover shot.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm going to force a boss over there. And you're like, wait, what are you going to do? And then they rip it, and it fades out to the left over into the middle of nowhere, and they're like, oh, sorry about that. And I'm just like, What like
What did you think was gonna
Right,
happen?
I'm more mad about that than if you like caged a 15-footer on the last hole. You know what I mean? Like,
Can you tell me the story of the boss? Because I feel like this is a story you're referring
oh no,
to.
I just saw it. They weren't my partner
Okay.
at the time, but I saw
Okay.
somebody do it, and I was like,
What
yeah,
the
I
shit?
don't know what the fuck that was. But I've
Yeah.
had people like as my partners at different things that are like there's a clear shot. Most people, if you're ever my partner on something, I'm not talking about like a random draw. Like we went and played a tournament.
Mhm.
I've probably played a lot of rounds with you.
Yeah.
I probably know your
Yeah.
bag. I don't even know like.
Yeah.
I not only know your shots, like I know like this is that disc for you.
Yeah, and thinking on like what saying that there, like that pertains to me too.
Yeah.
Hence why I said like I've played competitive doubles rounds with less than what I can count on my hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
for me, like you and I were
Yes.
doubles partners once,
Mhm.
and we both just absolutely.
Where was this at?
Remember when
No.
you turned the stiletto into a
Oh,
T-bird?
yeah.
Yeah, we
Oh,
both
yeah.
shit the bed.
Oh my god.
But that wasn't a thing. Like there was no decision-making issues, so I didn't have a
Yeah.
problem. It was more of just neither one of us brought it.
we didn't execute.
No, and then we played with those guys, and it was very uncomfortable. Remember
Which guys?
We were gonna play with D-Rock and his dad,
Mm,
or D-Rock's dad,
I think so.
Dakota's dad. Remember?
I
And then
think
like
so.
they like carded us up. I don't know. But it was a long time ago when we played
Something.
Birdies for Boobies at Addison.
Yeah.
Like forever ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, we both
I remember
shit the
that. I just
bed.
don't
Yeah.
remember
Yeah, whatever.
who we were playing
Yeah,
with.
I
I hope
forget.
Dakota's dad's doing okay.
Yeah, so
He's
do
not
I.
doing so well.
So do I.
But yeah, seriously.
Yeah, but like in that situation, like as my partner, like, dude, you could come out and not show up, and I'll be frustrated. You could come out and play really well and make two bad decisions, and my whole car ride home, I'm gonna be like, I don't even know how I'm friends with this fucking guy.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
what am I doing with
Yeah,
my life?
I've already unfriended you on Facebook. Where else
You're
am I?
blocked.
Yeah,
You're blocked. It's over.
yeah, that's funny.
Or if like something shitty happens and you can't let it go.
Yeah,
Those are the two that I can't deal with when
Yeah.
I have a partner. Like if you didn't bring your skill set today, it's gonna take a lot to really wear me down.
yeah,
Like if you keep missing the second putt, if you want me to putt first for you to go second, and then you can't hit the second putt,
mm-hmm.
and you don't want to putt first, like I start to wear out.
yeah,
Because then like I'm putting with the pressure of putting second. I might as well just be putting second.
right.
But it's mostly like if you're making bad decisions or if something works you and you just can't let it go.
Yeah,
I want to be like, dude, like
yeah,
you're gonna have a real problem in a minute.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
dude. Or if you start telling me like, okay, you just fucked up this shot, and then you tell me, well, I did it this one time,
Yeah.
like I don't know, 17 years ago. It's like great.
yeah,
How many times have you done it in total?
Right.
Oh, like less than 5?
Yeah.
Cool.
yeah. Oh,
That's cool that you based your shot off of that.
Right, I'm gonna thumber this. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I've never seen you thumber. I got this.
Yeah.
Hold my beer. Yeah, I got this dialed
Yeah,
in.
dude.
So, yeah. So you've been teaching, just like to catch anybody that's listening up. So you've been teaching a couple guys this year pretty heavily, Dan and Kyle.
Yes.
Right, and then you've helped other people throughout time, like
You.
help me and
Yeah.
helped like other people throughout time, like get better at disc golf.
Yes.
So what in terms of like your helping people teach disc golf, like how does it help you? Because like I've coached basketball when I was in high school, and I've done like
oh, really?
yeah, and I like T8 a lot when I was in college, many of the times that I was in college, and tutored and stuff, and I always found it like really rewarding for me. And then like
Yeah.
you know, I went to AA and like sponsored people, and I found that sponsoring people really helped me. And I've taken on like helping people and teaching people disc golf, and it helps me.
Mm-hmm.
Teaching people putting hurts me, for sure.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
because I break
interesting.
down like my theory on putting, why I putt, how I putt, the whole thing and whatever. And when I actually take the time to explain it to someone to teach them how to putt, then for some period of time after that, every time I putt, I'm thinking of all those mechanics, and like the key to my putt is very much like super simple, so I don't have to think about it. Straightforward, straight back, and go.
Yeah.
And when I explain all the mechanics to somebody, then after that, when I'm putting, I'm thinking of all of the mechanics.
Interesting.
And it throws me off. So I've just stopped teaching people how to putt.
yeah. Anything else but putting?
Yeah,
you'll teach.
you can watch
Okay.
all the videos you want, because
Yeah.
when I teach people how to putt, it destroys my putting.
That's
because like
interesting.
all of I can't think of all the things I'm doing while I'm putting and putt well.
Mhm.
Like my putt specifically, when I putt best, like I'm literally thinking like, man, that cloud is beautiful. You know, like
Yeah.
I'm thinking nothing, and I'm
Yeah.
just like smashing
like white
shit.
noise.
Yeah, like
kinda.
60 feet. I'm just like, whoa, cool. And all I'm thinking
Yeah.
is like straight back, straight forward. Here we go.
Right.
But the minute I'm thinking of like, is this lined up with that? Is it, you know, like,
Yeah.
is my foot
You
right?
break it down.
It's
Yeah.
over. And so when I teach people putting, it goes to shit.
Yeah. And I think that would be the same with anybody. It's weird that it's like your brain then starts, it like latches on to like, well, I was just talking about this.
I'm trying to teach
So here we
myself
go.
while I'm doing it.
Yes.
Every other part of disc golf, as I've like tried to teach people or help people with it or whatever, it rewards me because like maybe I'll catch something that I'm doing, or I'll see something that they're doing, or I'll come up with a drill to try to help them break out of something that then I can use. Or I end up at the store trying to find something to help them, and then it helps my game out a lot. I mean, either way,
Yeah.
you know, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, whatever. Yeah. Because spending $100 on a discs makes you better at disc golf. No, it doesn't.
It makes your bins more valuable.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, I personally really do enjoy it, and I think that there's the ability to teach stuff, like whatever it is. I think you really solidify it because there's something to be said about talking about something that you know.
Yeah.
Like you've read it, you've studied it, and whatever, and it's in your head. And there's times here and there where you can talk about it, but when you like say it and explain it, I think there's like that extra sense of knowledge that really solidifies it for you, and it brings out more like, I don't know what's happening, but like your brain's firing and it's like, oh yeah, but this and this and this and this kind of thing. And even though it's like these little like microtransactionary type of things, it's like, wow, like this just makes more sense, or like I forgot about it, but when I'm like breaking it down for somebody else, I relearn it to some degree. Like it's still there kind of, but now it's like, oh, okay, like let's do this.
Right.
So teaching Dan and Kyle as much as I possibly can, because I don't care if you're like great at disc golf and like you think I can help you with something, I'll try. Or if you're like terrible at disc golf and you're brand new and you're trying to get better and you like want or whatever, great. Like and anywhere in between. But if you're like the douchebag who's like X, Y, and Z, it's like I don't want to play with you at all. I would rather play with like the people that are just bad and want to like learn and get better versus the guy who's already great, who's just like a total tool or whatever. So teaching them, it's like Kyle specifically, he's gotten better at this, but his drive has gotten really good, and it's still lacking in like here and there, but he's figured out how to transfer power better. He knows how to transfer power in an overhand. Now he's just lacking clean release in overhand, so not like the disc is like going really far like everywhere,
Right.
But trying to teach him how to like get your weight on your back foot like you are in your tomahawk, like you are in your backhand, like just transferred that footwork over.
Right.
And he took like a couple weekends and he was able to do it. He like texts me back and forth, and I try to like ask him what he's doing differently. But with his putting, he's very, I don't really care about that. And it's like, dude, like if you're gonna, no one's talking to you, Siri. If you're going to like want to be better, if you're gonna focus on one thing, putting,
Right.
you could be the guy, names will not be dropped, but you can throw 650, 700 feet legitimately. But if you can't put that anywhere close or whatever, if you can't putt like on the green, like even within 20 feet, it's like, dude, the dude who's throwing accurate 350 is going to beat you every time.
Right.
Or most of the time, whatever.
Right.
Yeah. So it's that like that's the most frustrating thing.
Yeah.
For me with Kyle, it's like, because it's like, dude, like come on, like care. But he's been doing it more. He's gotten better, especially since the first time I played with him. The first time I played with him, or a couple of times, was very like, I don't give a shit about this. And I'm like, why aren't you like really putting? He's like, because like I can do it later. Whatever. Right. It's like, okay, like whatever.
Did you tell him that until you're a great putter, you're never going to get the lady?
Yeah. I should have.
All the cash and prizes will never be yours.
Yeah. But Dan asks more questions than Kyle at that time. They both ask about the same questions. But like I think I'm pretty decent at thinking of like weird metaphors of like how things work sometimes. And sometimes I think I'm just talking pure gibberish, because it's like I give like weird examples sometimes where it's like, I don't know how my brain came up with this, but to me it makes sense. Hopefully to you it does. So I try to like take that weirdness and like maybe one of these like phrases or metaphors or whatever I'm using will just click for you. Because there's weird things at times where it's like, for me, it's like, I don't know how I didn't understand that before, but now I get it, even though this doesn't, like, it makes sense, but doesn't at the same time.
Right.
I'm trying to do that for them. So every time we're going and playing, a lot of times I'll ask them, like, to me, it looks good. and it looks right. It looks like it's flat and straight because Dan really likes to reach high and then just shoot through, and he throws it way up in the air. And then there's times where he'll throw it flat and I'll be like, how'd that feel? I already know like it looks good. I don't want to give like the immediate like, you did a good job. It's
Right.
like, I want you to like, did it feel good to you? Because then I could be like, yeah, because that looked great.
Yeah.
And it's gotten better over time. But Dan's put a lot of time into putting. I don't know what he's done or like how he did it or whatever, but like, I mean, when I first met him, pretty good putter, like whatever, like he was kind of all over the place. And sometimes he gets that weird, like, I don't know, like stuck on my thumb or whatever the hell it is. But for the most part, he's really slow and methodical in his putt, and he's able to transfer his weight into that putt really well.
Yeah.
To where it's like, I feel like I don't need to give you pointers on it unless you have a question you want to ask me on like how I do things, which they do pretty frequently. Him much less now in putting, because I think he's gaining that confidence in his putting.
Yeah.
Now that it's like, I mean, even that tournament is like, he was making a lot of really good putts. He made 3 like phenomenal putts, one being like the 100-footer at the end to like really just like
Yeah.
to those guys, like just for the hex, because it's like we were both mad because we were getting beat by like flaily arms who
Yeah.
were just like hitting their lines. Like great for them, like they were having an on day or whatever, but like the consistency to hit those lines,
Yeah.
a little dicey. Like
It worked that day.
it
It worked
worked
that
that
day.
day.
Yeah.
Like good. So, but in doing all that, I relearn things, I re-solidify things for myself,
Yeah.
and it helps me just in general. It doesn't, like, that kind of breakdown of my putt actually helps me in thinking with my body, like when I'm doing it, if that makes sense. So I'm not breaking it down in my head anymore. It's just like, this is what I do and this is what I think of, and then I focus on getting my weight on my back foot and then just popping up, and just I put my hand like at the chains.
Yeah.
And as long as I'm like, literally the main thing is if I pop my hand open and I don't do the weird thumb thing that I told you before, it's like high percentage that it's going to give it a run or go in or
Right.
whatever. And it's gotten to the point where I'll know if it's in or not. I've had like those spurts of like, I putt and it's just like, that's in.
Yeah.
And then it like 9 times out of 10 it is.
Yeah.
And that's like 50 and in. So I personally really enjoy doing it. And I mean, everyone likes to be wanted in some way. Like, you're of use. Like, I have valuable stuff, because if it's like, I'm not a good golfer, disc golfer, whatever, if I'm not being like asked questions. So this makes me think of like, I personally know like I'm pretty good at disc golf, but this kind of like reinstates
Right.
that. And I want more for like other people to be out there and like playing well. Cause if Dan, for sure, if he can figure out to stop shooting, pro,
Yeah.
100%, but he's lackluster because of his shoots.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to help him figure out how to do that. And that's like, it's really hard because it's something like mental in him that he just needs to break. And I
Yeah.
don't know what it is specifically, but with Kyle, like Kyle's gotten a lot better. Kyle's gotten more consistent, and I take like pride in that, where it's like, I helped you guys like get better,
Right.
and it's helped me along the way too. Like, even just the playing for stuff, it puts both of us in that competitive mindset, even though it's just like Taco Bell and it's just a friendly wager. Just that in of itself is a benefit to both of us.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good thing. And like, having that is the same as playing with Jared, like all those times, all the time, to where it's just, you're constantly pushing yourself. And that's what I want too, is like, you push me when we play. Dan pushes me when we play. Kyle pushes me when we play. And there's like something there. And it's the biggest thing too, is like, you want to get better. You want to be the best that you can be. And it's like, this right now, like, is it like, there's always like a better me,
Yeah.
I think. And I think they have that same thing. Dan, like quite a bit. And I think that's a really good thing, like all around, like just for the group. Cause like, if I can do it to like a big group, cool. But also I think that takes away from, now you're like just strictly a teacher.
Yeah.
And you take away time from yourself. Cause I still want to be good golfer. I have my like group of close friends, and I want them to be the best.
Yeah.
Not that I'm not like rooting for anybody else, but like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I also think of in terms of like a little bit of our conversation last time in terms of like the growth of the sport and the progress of the sport. Like and like we were talking about, we were talking about like your dad, like he knew about disc golf, and then you were like, hey, you knew about this?
Yeah.
But I feel like in the amount of time and the effort that I've put into figuring out whatever it is I figured out, and some things I know and I still can't execute, and there's things that like, I have like at least directions I can point you in of like, this person's probably really good to talk to, or that person's probably really good to talk to, or this person understands it better than I do. I just like to save people time, what I mean? Because like, as I've gotten older, I just realized like how valuable time is. And then even like when you figure something out, whatever it is, and you're just like, awesome. And then my next thought is like, man, if I would have been doing this, like at whatever point or whatever, like, I'd be farther along now. And I just want to save people time, and we were talking last time about like people growing up with like Simon existing, you know what I mean? And like Eagles forehand existing, and knowing that like, okay, if I can just do exactly what they're doing, then I'll be able to do that too. Maybe. Right. But like, at least the
you
format.
have the opportunity.
Right. You have the format of
and
doing it. So I just look at like in helping other people and in doing that stuff, like I'm just trying to save them time. So that way I can shorten the amount of time it takes them to get as good as I am, or like to get them to a point to where like now all they're working on is timing.
Yeah.
Right. Or now all they're working on is comfort with their discs or whatever, and just try to like push their evolution into a shorter time frame. So that way the end result will be that much better. You know what I mean? And really trying to help people like just become as great as they want to be, and it's easier to do that. What you were talking about earlier, like it's easier to do that with people that want to be great, because you're like, all right, I'm putting my time in. I'm giving you like all of these time saving things to help you be great, because you really want to be great. And like, I want to contribute to that.
Yeah.
That's
funny you say that too. 'Cause there was, I quickly learned like at some point in time, I figured out like, there's at least pointers that I can give. Like here and there. I don't know all or whatever, but I know like definitively X, Y, Z, whatever.
Right.
And then like I can prove it. And I quickly learned that I used to try to give advice to like people like back in Texas or whatever. And it didn't.
Are you talking about unsolicited advice?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
Just here. Like,
hey,
here.
buddy.
Yeah, exactly. So I quickly realized like some people just, they could care fucking less. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I'll just go fuck myself. I legitimately trying to help you out.
Right.
Didn't want it. And that's fine too. 'Cause like also it's like, they never asked for it. Fine.
Right.
Whatever.
You can also come across super douchey doing that.
Yeah.
Especially if you do it to a guy who's there with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Totally.
But the last time I did it, it was the first time in a long time. Dan and I were playing at Seymour, and there was a group of like high schoolers or whatever. They were out playing, and they were all like pretty athletic. A couple of them like really had it kind of figured out.
Yeah.
Like it was still like kind of iffy, just kind of like whipping your arm wherever. But there was one guy who was just like, he would keep his chest to the target and then just like turn his arm and then still throw it with his chest like still pointed at it. And I was watching it for like the whole round, and we were just sitting thinking, because they're all like a bunch of athletic dudes. This dude is like the most athletic out of all of them, and it looks like they want to be some sort of like competitive, like good at the game, like even if it's just like beating up on your buddies or whatever,
right? That
they're just doing that. And the end of it, I didn't want to like be the douchey guy or whatever.
Right.
Like on hole 3, I said it, and then we're behind him the whole time. Or like maybe get into his head, even though it probably like really didn't fucking matter, because they're just out there chucking discs. But like after they threw on 18, I was just like, hey dude, like what's your name? Whatever. He was like, like Adam or whatever the hell it was. And I was like, I don't know if you care about this or not, but like you'll throw better if you literally just do this. And I showed him like, just turn your chest. Like this is what you're doing. Just do this and try, and you'll throw better. And that was like all I was trying to do, because it's like, hopefully that will just help you get as good as your other friends. Because he was like all over the place, like throwing way up in the sky, but it was still like going somewhere. And then his other buddies who were like had it somewhat more dialed in just didn't tell him, or they didn't realize that they were doing it.
Right.
Like, why do my discs fly like this and yours just don't?
Right.
And it's just like, here's something like clearly obvious.
Yeah.
Like just do this and try it and whatever. And he's like, oh cool. And I think he like, yeah, cool. Fuck off, dude.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Thanks for that, weirdo.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Yeah. I was thinking in those circumstances, like he beats them at everything else.
Yeah.
And this is the one thing that like he hasn't figured out
Probably.
yet. Yeah. And
Probably.
he's like,
And then his friends were like, "This fucking, why'd you tell him?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
like, yeah, thanks, fucker.
Yeah.
He's like, you guys want to play pool? No, why don't we go
No.
play disc golf again?
Yeah.
Sure, we can go play some basketball. No, man,
Yeah,
we really
yeah.
want to go
How
play
about some
disc golf.
football? Soccer? I don't know.
Ping pong? No,
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
Let's play
Table
disc golf
football.
again. Yeah. Just keep that chest straight. You're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. That's it. That's
Yeah.
good. All right, dude. I think that's
Yeah.
good.
How
man.
long do we go for? What time is it?
I have no idea.
Dude, I don't know. We could. Oh, it's 8:30.
Yeah. So I think we're probably good.
I think we're about 2 hours in.
Yeah, something.
Fuck
We
yeah.
covered a lot.
Fuck yeah. That was fun.
Yeah, it was a great time, man.
Yeah,
I look
yeah.
forward to doing it again.
Me too. Next
Yeah.
Monday.
Yeah. Tune in.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Later.
Thanks, dude. We didn't die from the shots.
Did not.
No.
I got sweaty though.
Did you?
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
No, I saw your face. I saw your lip at one point. It was
Yeah,
glistening.
dude, I was going. I was like, at one point, I was looking like left eye, right eye, left eye, right eye.
sweating. I can do it. I can make it through.